happy December. It's already been like December for a few days, but I'm still gonna keep saying it. Happy, merry, everything, season's greetings. I hope you, at least at moments, are able to find and feel some of the joy that this season is supposed to bring us, simply because of what the season represents, and that the wheel of the year is turning when the solstice comes around. You know, the sunlight begins to return, and it's a time of, you know, gathering and sparkly lights and just warm, cozy things. That is how I associate with the season, and just the magic of it all. That's, I mean, as I get older and now that I have a little one, being able to be the magic creator, it's really special. And it's also taught me the importance of continuing to do that for yourself. That's just a skill I think we really need to continue to work on cultivating. And yes, little ones help with that, but there are plenty of ways to do that for yourself, including reading fun, seasonally inspired books. And that is what I want to do with you for this vlog, is just read festive, Christmas, solstice, wintry books. That's what we're gonna do. I have 4 in mind, and I'm really going to challenge myself to read them all for this vlog. I have already started the first one just today. I'm only about 1 chapter into the first one that's included, and that is Love in Winter Wonderland by Abiola Bello. I understand that it is about 2 teenagers who Too Long Didn't Read version. These teenagers have to work together to help save a family independently owned, Black owned bookshop. But it's right before Christmas. It's like the Christmas season. I think the book started, and I think it told me it was 17 days until Christmas. So that is number 1. That will be my evening, you know, face routine. Maybe if I need to wind down with some coloring or a cup of tea, whatever it is, that's going to be my audiobook of choice for this vlog. I'm also going to be reading The Holiday Switch by Marcelo. To be honest, I don't know anything about this one other than I know it's going to give me those cozy, warm, you know, Netflix special Christmas movie vibes. Like, that's what I'm going for, the feeling. This one was recommended a lot when I was looking up books to read at this time of year. So I was just like, let's just go for this one. But I will keep you updated. And then I'm also going to read A December to Remember by Jenny Bayliss. This one is about 3 bickering half-sisters, 1 unique antique shop, and the coziest holiday season of their lives. These 3 half-sisters all have to come back to this small town where their dad had an antique store, but their dad has passed away, so they have to come back for the reading of the wills. And it sounds like he kind of sets them on a little bit of a mini quest to unlock their inheritance. And I guess from the back of the book, I understand 2 of the sisters really need the money, and the 3rd one's just not one to turn down a challenge. The artwork on the front of this is really what inspired me to pick up the book. And then when I was reading about it, it said that it was more centered around a winter solstice celebration, which I really wanted a book specifically more centered around that than necessarily like Christmas. So I'm excited to read this one. And the other one I picked up was The Christmas Orphans Club by Becca Freeman. And I know this one is about 4 friends who have always spent the holidays together because they didn't have anywhere else to go. But, you know, life happens and we grow up. And I think that it is going to be a lot about, you know, that as we age and our situations change, the traditions that we had and, you know, hold in high regard that are important to us sometimes have to change. And then we're, you know, kind of just left with those memories. And I did see somebody else kind of review this and say like it was marketed as a holiday rom-com, but it's really more just about friendship, which I am okay with. Like, I love a sweet, like saccharine story, but sometimes it's okay if it's, you know, more about platonic love. I think that's a nice thing to read about as well, especially now, because I know how important it is for me and mine to not only celebrate with our families and the, you know, romance around this time of year, but also our friends. Like, this is the time of year that most of us really make a point to see each other. in the whole year, more than any other time. And I can't believe that, like, now that I'm thinking about it, that we still do that. And it's so beautiful because we have this tradition in our, friend group, and it's like a blended friend group where we're all friends, but some of us are closer to other people and other people are closer to other people. And we've done this Secret Santa for years, but it's so beautiful because sometimes people, can't do it one year or even for a few years, but they come back, and we're always like, the group has expanded over the years and we're welcoming to new people, but it's this, for the most part, this same group of people, and we really prioritize this tradition. And now I'm gonna like tear up because it's really beautiful in this day and age where it's so hard to get together and there's so many other things vying for our time. But that is just something I'm really grateful for. Yeah, like, all right. Now that I've made myself emotional, I can't wait to dive into these books with you. I'm thinking that with each book, when I kind of give like a major update about one, or maybe when I'm like, give an update and I'm about to sit down to, do a reading. Oh my goodness. What were you doing? What was out there? Oh, thank you. Was there something good out there? You need to tell somebody something? Oh, yeah. Oh my goodness. Anyway, what I was thinking is that I wanted to try a festive beverage with each one and kind of pair each book with a festive beverage. So we're thinking like, like a latte or some tea or maybe even a cocktail for one of them. I don't know. But that's what I'm thinking. That idea really sparked some joy in me. So I think that in addition to talking about these books and sharing my reading and listening experience with you, I think I'm also going to share some holiday drink inspiration. They will not all be my recipes, of course, but some of them might just be things I make up. But of course, I will share any and all sources for the drinks that I think, and the mugs and cups and all the things. Like, I don't know. You can see my creative wheels turning while I'm talking to you about this. But yes, I think there will be some beverage pairings. That's the short version. With each book, like the vibe the book is giving me, as well as, maybe the cover can kind of help inspire the drink as well. So with that being said, I am going to get to reading and I will check in with you soon. So now I remember what convinced me that I wanted to read The Holiday Switch, which is what I think I'm going to tuck into this evening. And that is, it is set at an old inn. And I guess the inn was like this, the set, they used this inn as the set for like what in this book is known as like the greatest holiday movie ever told. So I'm making good on my idea to make a little drinky drink. It's kind of inspired by each of the books that I'm trying to read during this holiday reading vlog. And when I thought about this one, I got hot chocolate came to mind right away, and just like thinking of how cute and cozy it would be and what kind of like fancy hot chocolate you might get if you're staying at, a wintry, decorated for the season Christmas inn. And I'm just using the things that I happen to have on hand. I'm gonna make a gingerbready hot chocolate inspired by a recipe that I saw on the Moonstone Kitchen YouTube channel, and then went back and looked up on their blog. Mine's gonna be a little bit different because I'm gonna use a hot cocoa mix that I already have, and honestly make it a little bit more, because sometimes I find when it's only 8 ounces of liquid, it's just not enough for me. So I will include the link to the original recipe. I will include the ratios that I use, and I'll obviously include my reaction when I go to make it. So this is my hot chocolate that I'm going to enjoy this evening while I start reading The Holiday Switch. Update. I'm about 40% of the way through the holiday switch, and I want to say I'm probably about halfway through with Love in Winter Wonderland right now, and I'm about to make some coffee, but I thought I would make my festive beverage, since I'm trying to make a drink that is inspired by each of these festive reads for this vlog. I thought I would make an iced peppermint mocha, just using my like regular coffee, which, oh, I'm so excited that it's not super hot right now. The mug kind of timed out on me, which is good. I don't need it to be molten right now. But I was about to get up and get my coffee, but I've made a few simple syrups this morning because it just felt like something I needed to do. I made a peppermint mocha simple syrup and then just a regular peppermint syrup. So I thought I would use those to do kind of an iced peppermint mocha situation this morning, because when I saw the cover for Love in Winter Wonderland, the pink one, that is immediately what I thought about. Kind of just that like red and white and that pink that you get with like candy canes, when the white and the pink, the white and the red kind of like mixed together. It very much made me think of just an iced, peppermint mocha situation, which is basically just chocolate from what I understand. So I thought we could do that together. But in terms of the books, before I do that, in terms of the books, I'm really enjoying both of them. They are fully putting me in my Christmassy spirit. Love and Winter Wonderland, again, is about, you know, two kids in high school, they call it college in Britain, the UK, but one of them, Trey, his family owns an independent bookshop, and it's going through some hard times. Ariel really needs a job, and through one thing or another, she ends up getting a job at Wonderland, this bookstore. And there's some chemistry there. There's some definite chemistry there, even though at this point, Trey has a girlfriend that he's had for a long time, and he's having to sort out his feelings at this point in the book. But they, if nothing else, form a good friendship right off the bat. And Ariel and some of her friends and some of Trey's friends are all doing what they can to, you know, help this struggling family business around the holidays. So there's a big, you know, big things are in the works in the story. And I, you know, it's one of those like feel good things. We're like, will they save the bookstore? I really hope so. It's just Christmassy, and they, you know, little Christmas things pop up here and there that, you know, remind you that is the time of year that you're reading this book. And then as far as the holiday switch goes, we have reached the point in the story where the phones get swapped. Like, you know that from the synopsis of the book. That's not a spoiler by any means. And the phones have now been switched back, so the characters are having to, like, they've started to interact a little bit more. Yeah, and it's very cute. Like, I hope I can see where this is going, and I'm okay with that. Again, these students are also teenagers, so it's another instance where it's just refreshing for me as someone who's far removed from that age. But, you know, just those butterflies and all of those things and young love, it's just nice. But in the holiday switch, it's even more like Christmas times 1,000, because I think I said this before, but the town itself and this inn that she works in were the set of this super popular holiday movie that in this book, in that universe of this book, was made in the 90s. And now there's like this big thing happening. I guess it's the anniversary of the movie being released. So they're going to do a big to-do at the inn. And that's kind of also adding like an extra layer of stress, I guess, for all of the characters. So we'll see how that turns out as well. So I still have to think, and I made that, gingerbread hot chocolate for that book. So we're gonna make peppermint mocha now, and then once I wrap these books up, I'll get into the other two, and I think I know what drinks I'm gonna pair with each of those as well. Well, I'm pleased with myself. That's delicious. My gosh. It's perfect. It's exactly what I wanted. So I'm going to go drink this and listen to more of the book. I owe you a bit of an update because we are 3 out of 4 done. I did finish Love in Winter Wonderland, and I can't remember if I told you how I felt about it. That was the first one I finished, and you should recall I was doing some of these like overlapping, especially because at least for the first two, one was audiobook, the other one was on my Kindle, but it had that heartwarming, Christmassy, you know, I had my heart was warm at the end. I don't want to give away anything that happens, but you know you're going in for something uplifting and lighthearted when you pick up one of these books. And it gave what it promised. And like I said before, I was not necessarily the target age range for that book, but I did still really enjoy it. And I just really loved that it was set in a bookstore, and this bookstore, was a lot of the book. And I just really loved that touch. So that one done. I have also finished, cars making lots of noise outside. But at this point, I have also finished The Holiday Switch. I will say with that one, again, very enjoyable, Christmas vibes all around with the Christmas vibes. I will say the romance, the chemistry in that one between the kind of two main characters, I think it flipped really quick. Let's just say that. Like, there was instant physical attraction between the two, but I found myself kind of, as they're getting into, their feelings about each other and all the things, somewhere I was just like, when did this happen? Like, it just felt, I don't know, I missed something. This is not a book to be, like, I'm not going into this thinking it's hard hitting or it needs to be super serious, but that was just how I felt. Would I still recommend it? Absolutely. It was so sweet. And it's, again, set at an inn, a hotel, small boutique hotel in a town that's actually called Holiday, and the inn itself was the scene for this super popular Christmas movie. So it has all of the feelings and the setting and the atmosphere that you could possibly want. So again, very enjoyable. But then the book that I paired with my little eggnog martini, I guess. Do you have to have vodka for it to be a martini? Because in this case, it was just some spiked eggnog. But it was still really tasty and festive. But you saw me make that already. But I had paired that with the Christmas Orphans Club. And then I proceeded to sit down with my little cocktail and read this in a day. I finished this. I started it yesterday morning and I finished it this morning. No, I started it yesterday morning and I finished it last night. And I really enjoyed it. I didn't exactly know what I was getting into, like how much romance are we talking, but there's plenty of it in this book, but it is not the sole focus of this book. It is more to do with these friendships, these found friends, found family that has developed over this past decade of these characters' lives, and how Christmas has played a very important part in that. But it's also about what happens to all of us when we grow up. And
we grow and evolve as people, not even necessarily grow up, but that's just what happens to most of us humans, is that things change. And how do we handle it when things change? And how do we prioritize the people in our lives who are important to us, even when things do change? But there is romance in this, and there's, you know, that Christmas night kind of like love conquers all moment, and at one point you think your heart's broken, but then it is all okay at the end. And I didn't actually cry, but I could feel the welling up occurring when I got to the end of this book. I do also think with this one, I was exactly the intended age group for this book. I actually, for once, I understood all of the references. I knew who all of the musical acts, the real ones that they reference in this book. I felt really good about that. And I felt really cool, even though it's probably not that I'm cool, but I felt really cool when one of the main characters, Hannah, is describing an adventure she and her partner, David, go on, because it's all in New York City. And they go to a bar that's hidden behind, like, the back of a phone booth in a hot dog shop. That's a real place. I have been there. It was many years ago, but I had been there. It was called, maybe it's still around, maybe it's not, but it was called Please Don't Tell, even though everybody tells everybody. That's the whole point. But they didn't even name it. They just said what the place was, which I guess is the whole secret. I don't know how that works, but I don't live there, so I'm not that worried about it. But I felt really cool when they referenced that, and I knew exactly what they were talking about. Exactly. So far this one has been my favorite, and it paired very nicely with my little spiked eggnog that I made yesterday. And so we only have one left, and that is a December to Remember. So it's too early in the day for me to start drinking. And I'm still thinking of what I want to pair with this. I have an idea, but I have to decide. You know, I haven't made a final decision yet on the beverage pairing for this book, but I will let you know as soon as I figure it out. But I think I'm going to just go ahead and get started on this one right now, because this has been very fun. But of course, now I'm just like, not that I do really want to read this. It sounds like a very sweet story, but I am also itching to read some of the other books on my TBR. I won't lie about that. But we're going to finish this mission together. Let's do a little reading update, shall we? So, I've gotten, where am I? To chapter 10, chapter 10, page 93 in A December to Remember. This is already surpassing my expectations. So, from what I understood, it took place in a small town. What I didn't understand is that said small town was actually a quaint, charming, eclectic little village in Britain. Just, I don't know, it really just adds something to the vibe of this book. So the whole thing, like I said, it starts out, these three sisters are dealing with the death of their rather estranged father, and they're also rather estranged from each other. Not in that they like didn't know each other existed, is that they only spent like limited time together as children, and they're all like middle-aged at this point. You know, I think the youngest one is like 38 and the other two are in their 40s at this point, these three sisters, and they haven't really had that relationship since they were kids. Some of these hoops that the father has set up for the women to claim their inheritance involve working together, and what he hopes is like rekindling their relationship. And of course there are side relationships, because what kind of holiday book would this be if there wasn't even like a little romance subplot, side plot? So we've got some of that going for us as well. So when, for whatever reason, when I was thinking of a drink to kind of pair with this book, I had one in mind initially, but I was like, well, is that too simple? Like, it doesn't involve me actually making anything.
But this is just one of those times where, you know, your gut instinct is usually right, because obviously what in this, you know, the funeral for the father is at the very beginning of the book. And what do all the people do right after they're done at the church, or even some of them while everyone else is at the church? Because again, small little English village, they're at the pub. And my initial thought was, honestly, I was thinking like a Christmassy beer. And what are you going to order at the pub anyway besides a pint? So I figured I'm going to go sit down and read. It is actually 5 o'clock here. Just had a little snack. And we've got some time before dinner. So I'm literally going to pour myself a pint. Specifically, a pint of this Mad Elf holiday beer, if you are familiar. It's a holiday ale brewed with cherries and honey. It's quite popular, rather famous. So thought I would do that, and then we can go sit down and read a little bit. Cheers. A reading update. I think I have a little over 100 pages left, which with this book, it doesn't feel like it's that much, but that is still a good chunk of pages. And this is the part where, you know, I'm waiting for a shoe of some kind to drop with this book. December to remember. So, like, all three of the sisters obviously have life stuff going on. There has to be some tension. They all have an external motivation as to why they're going through all these hoops that their father has set for them, at least to start. And that's they could all use the financial assistance. But then they're all realizing that they've missed their sisters, and at least to start. And as the book goes along, you know, relationships get rekindled, some get figured out. It's, you know, normal stuff. And they're like well on their way, but there's still a lot of pages left. And I don't want to give too much away in case you want to read it, because so far I would recommend it. I'm having a great time. If you hear noises and stuff, somebody is trying to get my attention with toys and being cute on the carpet. You know, I'm having a great time, but I'm also a little stressed, and that might say more about me, that I'm so worried about something devastating happening in a, you know, seasonal rom-com style book. Hopefully it doesn't say too much about me, but I don't want any of these sisters to go through any more heartache or hard times, okay? I'm attached. I'm attached. It's so easy, because sometimes I love when there are books like this where you have multiple characters, because I feel like more people that read it could find at least one character or combined aspects of the characters that they can relate to. Yeah, I don't often like write notes or annotate in books. I'm thinking I might get into that more next year, but there's a part in this book where one of the characters, I think it's Maggie, has like a few like bits and thoughts about how she like has trouble keeping pants because the inner thighs always wear thin. And damn it, that happens to me all the time. And I just found it so relatable. And I've never seen that written about in a book like that, where I was just like, I feel you, lady. I feel ya. Like, I love wearing jeans, but man, I just have some muscular thighs, and I'm constantly wearing out the fabric because my thighs chafe, and it's so annoying. So anyway, Jenny Bayliss, I really appreciate that you included that realness in this story. So that being said, I have about 100 pages left. Things are looking up.
I'm almost anticipating this book making me cry, but I don't know. We shall see. Like I said, I got choked up at the end of the Christmas Orphans Club. So it can happen. It could happen. We will see. And of course, I'll let you know how we're doing. And with that, I can tie a little bow around this festive reading vlog. I did just finish A December to Remember. Did I have a couple mini heart attacks for these sisters throughout the end of this book? Yes. But in the end, I did get a little choked up, but it was more just from the, we'll just call it the solstice spirit. The story, while very much about these sisters' relationships and their relationship with their dad, it is also very much about just the strength of community. And that's the part that really got me choked up in the end, as well as some thoughts that the father had tucked away to be shared right at the proper moment regarding the winter season and what the winter solstice means. And it was just very sweet. It really was. This is a really sweet one, with enough romance to keep anybody pleased and enough moments to keep you entertained. So if you haven't read this one and you are looking for a book that is about the winter solstice, not about Christmas specifically, I highly implore you to pick this one up. So again, we have read Love in Winter Wonderland, The Holiday Switch, The Christmas Orphans Club, and now A December to Remember. And I feel like I chose well. I enjoyed reading all of them. They were all entertaining. And they did what I wanted them to do. I wanted some books that were going to immerse me in holly jolly holiday spirit and make me smile and make me feel warm and just like ooey gooey inside. So like I said, I am pretty pleased with my picks, and I hope you have enjoyed making festive holiday drinks and reading with me. And you'll have to let me know in the comments, are you gonna read any of these? Have you read any of these? What are you drinking with your reads this season? Please, 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 I would love for you to drop a comment and let me know, because, you know, there's still like half the month left. I might need to pick up a few more of these just to keep these good vibes going. So with that, I'm gonna go pick out another book now, and I'll wish you happy reading.